Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're listening from, and welcome to the Psychic Training Ground. My name's Nick, and I'm your host. And today, all being well, we'll be having a little discussion, law of attraction, health, wealth, well-being, and all the good stuff that goes with it. Today, hopefully, we'll be joined by some very special guests, Paul and Heather. These guys were in my movie, and I just played the trailer for you, and I love these guys. They're absolutely amazing. They come with stories of well-being, and their knowingness and their smartness is really on it. Totally adore these guys. Hopefully Paul's waiting to come on the air, so without any further ado, I'm going to bring you on. I hear some noise. Paul, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Indeed.
I think it's working. I think it's working. Good to hear you, Nick.
Cool. How have you been?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm, just having a quiet weekend. I'm just enjoying my time, and thank you very much for asking me to come on your show again.
Cool, no worries. I have missed it because it's been a while actually since I've exercised my law of attraction muscle. So I thought it'd be nice to do a show with you guys and to focus on what you guys want. So if you want to go through the regular spiel for the listeners of your background growing up, how you found LOA and all of that stuff, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Now, apologies to anybody who has heard my story before, but it was like when, as a toddler, I was very, very unhealthy. I had life-saving surgery when I was about 6 weeks old. I had some problems with the way my food was digesting. Then as a toddler, as I got older, I had asthma. I didn't do any sports or games at school. Very, very unhealthy. Grew up in a family where everybody seemed to be moaning about what bad health they were in. And it was... I just didn't have much experience or confidence with anything that could be doing me any good. I had a very, very bad diet as a child. As I got older and progressed into secondary school, I stereotypically got in with the wrong crowd, to coin a phrase. Ended up getting into drugs, getting expelled from school for vandalism, and by the time I was in my late teenage years, I was in a pretty bad way. Got to the point where I just couldn't go on anymore, and I needed to change that. And what was available to me in those days was thankfully I discovered the program of NA, Narcotics Anonymous. And this was my first introduction to spirituality in a way that I could understand it, free from dogma. And it helped me to clean up my act. I got off of drugs pretty much immediately. Now, at that time, I still had asthma. I was still quite unhealthy. I was still smoking. What I learned from that early experience was that I had the ability to learn my own spiritual path, to not be restricted by the dogma of organised religion. And that's not to criticise people who do get something from religion. This is mainly a thing for me where I'd grown up and had a lot of different ideas instilled into me about going to hell if you're bad, and a typical thing that a lot of people get growing up in a Christian household. So it was really great that I could actually define my own beliefs around a higher power. And since those days, I haven't picked up drugs. I stopped smoking pretty quickly. And I discovered how I could get healthy. I learned about focus. I learned about intention. But I wasn't quite there. I didn't quite get the whole principle of the law of attraction, even though in later years when I discovered the work of Abraham Hicks and other law of attraction teachers, I could really see a similarity. In my late teens, early 20s, I made a concerted effort to get myself into good shape. I started doing some martial arts. I started pushing weights. I made some changes to my diet, and I made some real positive gains. By my mid-20s, I had completely eradicated the asthma that had plagued me for my whole childhood. And then I suppose as I got a bit older, I became a bit blasé. I settled into bad habits. My diet got a bit crap. And it wasn't until I was in my mid to late 30s that I really decided that I was going to have a good look at myself again and try and find some reconnection with those ideas that I'd got in my earlier life. I returned back to NA, and I remember sitting in these meetings, and I think the Hickses have said pretty much the same thing. It was like what was initially a downstream program that helped me to get over drugs was now feeling upstream, and I was feeling like I no longer belonged there. I hadn't used drugs for 20 plus years, and I sought out a new spiritual path. I didn't want to go to churches. I dabbled with Christianity. I dabbled with Buddhism. I didn't like the dogma, and over a period of time, and through a series of coincidences, I came across The Secret, first of all. Even after I dismissed it before I even watched it, I eventually did watch it. Found The Secret, went on to investigate and research the individual teachers involved, and that's pretty much where it's taken me so far. I had an intention at the end of last year, beginning of this year, that I was going to get myself into physical shape again. And I'm not going to say that it happened without any action, because I did have to work hard. But it was almost like I fell into the right programs. I found the right diets for me. I discovered what worked and what felt easy. And when I say easy, I don't mean there wasn't any effort, but what actually resonated and didn't feel like I was going to be punishing myself. And in terms of physical health, I am at least as healthy as I was when I was in my 20s, if not healthier. I'm currently training to run the London Marathon. My diet is spot on. I'm not going to say I don't get colds, because that would be a lie, but when I do, they don't affect me. I don't feel laid up and like I've got to go and shut myself away for 2 weeks and not see the world. I can carry on with relative ease. And that's just one aspect. There's so many other things that have changed in my life. So many nice things I've got around me, material things, great friends, things that I've learnt to enjoy that I didn't think I ever would enjoy. So yeah, one thing that I want to mention, and I don't know, it's occurred to me, I remember today, I had this old cooker. It was given to me second-hand when I moved into this flat 20 years ago. And I hated cooking. And I really, the whole thought of cooking my own dinner, it was like, oh no, I'm going to get a takeaway again. Or if I did cook, it would be beans on toast, real basic stuff. Very, very, very rarely experimented. And strangely, in the last couple of years, I replaced the 20-year-old cooker. There was a lot of resistance around this. I was like, oh, why do I want to spend all this money on a cooker when I hate it so much? And yeah, so I ended up going out buying this cooker, and I absolutely love cooking now. It's amazing how things turn around in areas where you really don't expect them. So yeah, that's pretty much bringing myself up to date. I don't know if I can tell you, I can go on. I suppose then you might want to sort of add some things or remind me of things, but that's pretty much where I'm at.
Cool. So, I mean, for me, what's come up in the last week is this concept of self-empowerment. I mean, how does that play into your life now, knowing this work and not necessarily having to rely on anyone else, where maybe you or generally people might have that kind of internal guidance system and all of that? How does that play? What does the term self-empowerment mean to you, and how do you apply it, if you do, on a day-to-day basis?
Well, first and foremost, I would say it's learning not to listen to the wrong people. And for so long, I would listen to the cynical voices of other people and the cynical voices of myself. For instance, back on the subject of health. I'm now 43 years old. I'm heading towards 44 years old. And in my 30s, when I found myself putting on weight, I'd often hear that, oh, well, that's middle-age spread, and from now it's downhill all the way, and you're never going to lose weight. It's going to be so much harder when you're older. And that was, and when I got myself into the frame of mind where I thought, no, I'm not going to listen to that negativity. I'm not going to listen to myself telling myself that. I'm just going to have a go at these things, even though I may not have believed them 100%. The willingness to listen to my own intentions rather than the cynical voice is a very important thing to me. There are so many people out there, bless them, because it's not like people actually realise they're doing it a lot of the time, who will give you advice and repeat little sound bites that they've heard from their own parents and their own peers, and they obviously believe them, and it's I feel very appreciative. I can't get the word out. I feel very happy that I'm able to step away from those voices and away from that programming. And that's not saying I never do it. I do have thought patterns that I am constantly working on and constantly become aware of. But the ability to not listen to those thought patterns, to be able to separate them from my inner reality, my core being and my core desires, and to realise that I've got a lot more power than I ever dreamed possible. I would not have believed that I would be healthy and fit again. I thought like I was past my sell-by date and it was downhill all the way. And it's, like I said, I'm running the London Marathon 2012. It's an absolutely amazing thing for me to be doing. There was a time I couldn't even run to the end of my road without sounding like a steam train. When I started running again, I only ever went out in the dark in case anybody saw me, and I didn't want to draw any attention to this like wheezing wreck of a man trying to get himself better. And that went on to go to run a mile, and then it was 5 miles. And like I said, I'm training to run London 2012, and I'm doing it in aid of asthma Asthma UK, because it was something that affected me a long, long time ago. So every step I take, every day, I am becoming more empowered, and I'm hoping that people will see me as an example and they'll take something from what I'm doing. As you know, I've started up my own website, which I am mainly speaking about my own experiences with the hope that people will benefit from them. So I think everybody, no matter where they are at, no matter how far they think they've gone or how much they think they're beyond help or recovery, or no matter how hopeless somebody thinks, it's not true. People are and can be, and there's enough evidence, and there are enough examples out there of people's lives improving by applying a few basic principles.
Cool. Did you want to pass the mic over to Heather, or are you guys speaking at the same time, or how's it working at your end?
Heather's not too far away from me. I'm just going to, before I hand over to you, if you don't mind, I'm just going to give my website a quick plug if anybody else wants to read a little bit about me. I can be found at www.dohealthystuff.com. It's like I said, it's more or less a blog. I think if you want to pop by and send me a message through that, then I'm more than happy to communicate with anybody who feels like they want a bit of encouragement. I think Heather's ready now, so I'm going to pass the headset over to her.
Cool, because what I wanted to do, I wanted to bring her on, talk to her, and then come back to your website afterwards, and we can go into a depth about that. So
okay,
that's cool.
Absolutely. I'll pass you over right now.
Cool, thank you.
Hi Nick, hi listeners.
Yay!
I was on a bit of a lag, so I have to wait to catch up with the conversation there.
No worries. Welcome. This is Heather. We just love her stories and everything she brings to the group each month. So do you want to tell all the people how you got into law of attraction and how things have changed for you?
Yeah, that's not a problem. I got into law of attraction, it'll be about 2 years ago now. I found The Secret. I watched The Secret. Well, I read the book first, and then I watched the film, and I just loved the principles in that, and it got me really excited. I remember at the time, getting so excited about it and telling my I told everybody who came into contact with me. I told my daughter all about it. And, of course, the first thing I wanted to do was get car parking spaces. And my daughter was saying, so what is this law of attraction, Mum? Tell me all about it. And I was like, no problem, because she got a space in university, and I was so proud of her. I was taking her out for a meal. And I said, come on, we'll go to St Ives, that's in Cornwall. It was busy summer, so it's very hard to get a car park space down there. And I said, come on, we'll go to St Ives, and you watch this, I'll get us a car park space. She says, okay, Mum, come on then. So off we went, and we parked down by the station. Well, I say we parked, we hadn't parked yet. We got down to the station, and of course it was absolutely rammed. Chock-a-block. We queued up, and I'd been thinking about the space and where it should be, and when we got there was no spaces to be seen forever, anywhere. And I was saying to Alex, all right, we're going to get one, you just wait and see. And a queue of traffic was starting to build up behind me, and I started to get a bit nervous about it, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have to go because I can't be taking this traffic behind me. So I spun out of the car park, but just before I left, I thought, no, hang on, if this law of attraction thing works, this was me proving to myself that it did work. I thought, if this works, then you've got to get back you got to go back down there and get your space that you're saying you can get. So I spun the car around, and plotted up, decided where I wanted it to be, and sort of went and parked near it. Now, I suppose disbelievers would say that, I just waited and the space came up. Well, you could say that, but I didn't believe that at all. What happened was, I was beside a car, and somebody came along, and I heard a big... And I nearly jumped out my skin. I was like, oh dear, I must be blocking somebody here, and I didn't know what it was. And so I wound down my window a bit gingerly. I said, hello, and he was like, oh, you waiting for a space, love? And I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, oh, well, we're coming out, and, you can have this ticket. We've got an all-day ticket. You can stick that on your window. So not only did I get my space, I got an all-day ticket as well. So it was a brilliant start to the evening, and the evening just got better and better from there.
Cool. So, on a daily basis, how do you apply? I mean, I know you don't apply the law of attraction, but how do you apply the processes on a kind of day-to-day basis when things aren't going well, or you want to allow something into your life? Like, do you have any techniques for any beginners or more advanced people?
Yeah, I've got plenty of techniques. I think when I first found out about it, I only knew what I knew about vision boards. And, that was about the limit of the techniques I knew that was out there. And then I'd moved to London, and I started to go to groups. And I think this is where most of the knowledge started to come in. I went to groups and I listened to other people, and there's such a fountain of knowledge. You go to a group and people are saying so many different things. And it's from there you go home and something sort of sits with you. You take it home and you go and research it and think, well, what's this all about? I heard, list of appreciation. That was definitely one of the easiest and the best start. Is just sitting down and writing everything that you appreciate in life. And once you get going, at first you might only write a few things, but then once you get going, it's just, you can't stop it. I write loads and loads and loads. Another one was, well, I was at the group and somebody had mentioned the placemat setting, and they explained what it was in the group, and it really, I really was excited about that one. I thought, they were saying basically you put your page in half, and in one column you wrote what you were willing to do for that day, and in the other column you sort of turned it over to the universe or God or whatever you wanted to call it. And then, so maybe in the first column you'd put, I'm just going to be happy. That's what this person had said, that she just wanted to be happy. And in the other column she had a whole list about holiday and stuff like that. And this dream holiday came up for her, and I was thinking, oh wow, if she can get a dream holiday, what can I get? And so I remembered that one, and then my parents came to visit me. They came to London, and we'd been having a full-on day, as you can imagine. I was taking them around London and showing them this, that, and the other. And at the end of the day, I do not know why I said it, but I said to them, tomorrow I'm going to take you to the theatre. I'm going to take you to the theatre for, it was their anniversary, and I said, we're going to take you to the theatre for our anniversary. And at the time, I didn't have much money. I didn't know what was on the theatre, or I hadn't really looked. And I got back home, I was quite tired, and I got the internet out and started to have a look, and I could find things, but they were way out of my price range. And so the more I looked, the more frustrated I was getting. The less I could see. I couldn't sort of see where I was going to be taking them. The shows were getting cheaper, but they were less likely to be the ones that my parents would enjoy. And at the end, I was so angry. I just shut my laptop and, climbed into bed. And then I remembered the placemat setting. So I got my page out. I often have a book beside my bed to do all my list of appreciation. So I got it out and I halved it. This was the first time I'd tried this technique. Half the page, put me at the top and put the universe on the other column. Popped that I just want to be happy, because that's all I wanted to be. And on the other column, I had a list of all these things that I wanted to happen the next day. I wanted to find theatre tickets, I wanted for it to run smoothly, for the traffic to go well, to get my parents there, for it to be something they love, in my price range, maybe a meal as well. I thought, well, if the universe is doing it, I'm going to put it out there, I'll ask for a few things, My daughter was also in London. She doesn't live in London. She lives, she's at university, so she lives in Southampton. But her boyfriend was taking her on a surprise theatre trip to see The Lion King. I didn't know where, and I didn't know what time it finished. But I thought it'd be good if we could all meet up. She could see her grandparents, and that would be great. But I didn't know that would happen because, like I said, I didn't know exactly where they were or what time their show finished. Popped it on the wrote it down. I felt such a relief, just putting it and writing it down. I felt such a relief, and I felt a lot calmer than I did when I was on the internet. Climbed into bed, had a really good night's sleep, woke up the next morning really early, opened the internet up, and it was just like bosh, bosh, bosh. I found tickets. The tickets included a meal. The tickets were my price range. They were, it was petticoats, dreamboats and petticoats, and I thought, brilliant, my mum and dad will absolutely love it. And it was at Covent Garden. So I went to see him. I was so excited. I was just, you could imagine, I was on top of the world by then. Went to get my mum and dad, and the traffic was great. We got there in 20 minutes into the centre of London. We went to Covent Garden where this meal was. And we were a bit early, so we went into the marketplace to have a look round. And I thought, I'll just give Alex a ring and see if she's finished or where she's at. That was my daughter. Phoned her up, and she's like, hi, Mum. I was like, hi, where were you at? And she was like, I'm in Covent Garden. Well, I was just like, what? You're in Covent Garden? Oh, where? Where in Covent Garden? So, to cut a story short, they come over. I was just buzzing. My family was just like, oh, Heather's so happy, and she's so full of it. They came over, they came to the restaurant, there was a place for them. We had a big table, we all sat down together, and then we went on, and my mum and dad absolutely loved the show, and I do believe that I just turn it over to the universe. I've told everybody in groups about that loads of times. It's just a really good story, and it just shows how when you just turn it over and stop thinking about how it's all going to happen, it just happens.
Wow, I love that. So you've got like a beginner or a cynic saying, okay, Heather, I want to create money or a job or my ideal flat or something. What steps would you say have worked for you that you would pass on? Someone's like, I want something, I don't know how to get it. How can you help?
Yeah, well, what I do, and I don't know if a cynic would quite sort of buy into what I say or not, but I'm not really worried anyway because it works for me, and hopefully the way I say it and with the passion I say it, then they get something out of that even if they don't quite believe it. So I did use law of attraction to get a job myself, and I used it to get a flat of my dreams. So basically what I do is what I did, and I mean, you know, you say cynics and you say beginners. I mean, you know, there's times I'm a bit cynical, to be honest. You know, there is times when you're having a bad day and you don't, you know, you think, oh, well, you know, is this work? Even though you've got all this, you can look back and look at all of this evidence, there are times when you sort of don't see it for some reason. And, you know, I was looking for a job and I thought, you know, I'm going to use law of attraction to get this job. I'd been trying for quite a while, and I thought, you know, listen, Heather, you believe in this, you know, and it works, so just use it. And, you know, Abraham Hicks, they say, basically, you know, if you do something and you're happy, they're great, you know, you're doing the right thing, whatever that thing may be, whether it's, you know, listening to music, whatever it is, and as soon as something starts to feel a bit upstream, they call it upstream, what that means is just, it's getting difficult, you're getting annoyed, you're getting stressed, it's not feeling good anymore, then just get off the subject. I thought, right, well, I'm going to do that with my job. I absolutely hated writing out my CV. I'd rewrote it I don't know how many times, still wasn't happy with it. So in the end, I just thought, well, I'm not going to do anything else to it. It is what it is, and it's just stressing me out. And then I started looking for jobs, and as I was looking for a job, and if I couldn't find anything, then it was getting stressful. What I would do is just immediately just stop looking, because I obviously was no longer in the right frame of mind to be looking. So whatever I was doing wasn't going to work anyway. And Abraham's just so right on that one. If it's upstream, just stop doing it. So I would turn it off, go and watch some comedy, go and listen to some music, do something else. And then when I felt good again, you know, after I'd done a list of appreciation, or I'd done a list of all the good stuff that I've had in a job previously, or I'd done a bit of scripting, which is basically just writing it down how you want it to be, I'd go back on the internet, have another look. I wasn't putting too much effort into it, to be honest. And I mean, there was a lot of people who was thinking I wasn't doing enough. But you've just got to ignore them people and think, this is the way I'm doing it. Yeah, it's not the way that it's been done in the past, but this is the way I'm doing it now. So then I'd get back on the computer, and if it started to feel rubbish, get back off. And I did that for a few weeks. And it was getting to a crucial time, and at this particular time I was quite happy. Opened the computer, job was just there. It was just like it could have had like neon lights around it. It was just flashing. It was perfect. You know, all he asked for was like, you know, tell us a bit about why you enjoy camping. What's good about camping? It was for a camping lifestyle camper van hire place. So I didn't find that difficult. I absolutely love camping. Wrote a bit about camping, sent it off, got an interview, got the job. And I believe that all it was just having the right frame of mind and getting into the vortex, getting into your happy space, and then doing the action. And as soon as it didn't feel right, move away from it, go back to it when you feel good.
Cool. And you raised a really interesting point when you first started off, and you said sometimes you have your off days, which we all do. So when you're sitting in the middle of an off day and you're like, is law of attraction a pile of crap? Do my thoughts create reality? Is it just bad luck? Or whatever? What do you reach for? What do you do at that point?
Well, the first thing I usually do is share my feelings with somebody who follows the same as me, and as soon as I do, they remind me that it's worked in the past, and as soon as that happens, then I do sort of remember. And then the other thing I do is I write a lot of stuff down, so I only have to open up a book really to see evidence, and I think that's a key thing, is having the evidence, because you do forget how many times it's really worked, and you know, even when it's really big stuff, you sometimes forget that it worked. I don't know, you sort of get in that downward spiral, and you start to see evidence of the stuff. It's like if you're on a downward spiral, then you see more evidence of why it's not working. So the first thing you've got to do is stop thinking that. And sometimes you can't stop thinking that unless you just go and think about something else. For me, putting music on, that's like one of the biggest triggers. And music just can change your mood so easily. For other people, it could be meditation. It could be just stepping away from, what's driving them down. Because when you are focused on that, that's all that's coming into your vision or into your world. You can't get past it. So, yeah, do some meditation, read through some of your stuff that you've already manifested, or do what I do, put some music on and have a bit of a jig.
Cool. We've got like 5 minutes. The time has just flown today. Are there any last few words before I bring Paul in to to talk about his website and stuff? Any how life is different now, or anything that you want to end on?
Yeah. Before I bring Paul in, I just want to say, I would say that if you sort of are interested in this and don't know how it works, I would go to a group, definitely, and just speak to real people who, sometimes you read stuff on the internet and you think, oh yeah, well, they just saying that because they want to sell a book, they want to sell a DVD. But if you speak to real people about real things, then you realise, they're not selling me anything. So, if they can do it, why can't I? That's what I would say.
Cool, brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to more with you guys. Yes, if you want to bring Paul on, and we'll close about talking about his website.
I will do. Okay, thanks, Nick.
Take care. See you soon.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi again.
Time has just flown.
It has indeed.
So do you want to remind us about your website, what your intention for that is, where you see it going, what inspired you?
Well, I like helping people. I've always got a degree of pleasure or joy from knowing that anything that I know can be passed on to anybody else. And that's always been the way. I've always had, and I think the whole idea for the website, or I know the whole idea for the website, is a way of me sharing my experiences as a means to say, look, if I can do this, if I can change my life, then surely you can change yours. If my life has improved, then your life has improved. I know that from a personal point of view, I don't like anybody preaching to me. I never want to be told what to do. And I know that when somebody does preach, then I am likely to get resistant, even if it's something I do believe in. I think that not many people like unrequested advice. So the whole idea was that there was a story there for people to dip in and out of when they please, to get some ideas from what I've done. And in it, I've written about how I overcame asthma when I was younger. I wrote about the way I choose to eat. I'm writing a little bit about meditation. I'm in the middle of an article at the moment about law of attraction and health, because a lot of critics of law of attraction will speak about it's all about money and it's all about the pound notes. And while financial prosperity is a very big part of it, and it is entirely possible to have a much more prosperous, abundant life, and have material things, what a lot of people often overlook is the healthy aspect of it, is the fact that you can improve your health, you can improve your happiness. In The Secret, there was the guy who survived the airplane crash and couldn't walk and walked out of the hospital. And from my own background, having overcome things like asthma, and another time I believe I managed to overcome depression following a bereavement. I never ever took any antidepressants, just had to find my happy place, and I have a very happy life. Like Heather was saying, I'll have the odd day when I'm a bit cynical and I feel a little bit blocked off, but for the large part, I would say 98, 99 days out of 100, I'm pretty content with life, and that doesn't mean I don't want more. I always want more out of life, and the hope for the website is to just share my experiences, and to say, look, I've done this. You're not alone. No matter how bad you've had it, no matter how hard you find it, And I suppose the other thing is I like to view my physical experience in this life as a bit of an experiment, and getting over asthma was a bit of an experiment for me. When I wanted to lose weight, I was experimenting on myself. I was seeing how far I could go with my own potential. Training to do the marathon is an experiment for me, and so as it unfolds, there's going to be more experiments. I'm going to be trying different things out and trying to reach new potentials and exploring new grounds, and with the hope that I'll inspire and enthuse a few other people along the way.
That's cool. And actually, I've just looked on your website now, and it's you've updated it a lot, and it's gorgeous. Did you do that yourself, or how did you create it?
Well, it's using a WordPress backend, but I have customized the design. All the writing thus far is my own work. All the articles are my own work. As it unfolds, I will invite other people to write as guests for me. But yeah, it's pretty much my own labour of love, and yeah, it's out there that's me out there letting people know about me and making myself known.
Cool. What's your website again? And do you have any final words?
The website can be found at www.dohealthystuff.com. There are also Twitter and Facebook pages linked to that. Final words. I mean, it's like, if you read about the law of attraction, if you want to change your life, experiment. Try it. It might just work. You may just find that your life improves. It's very easy to... We live in a world full of cynics. We live in a world where the peanut gallery are always laughing at the people willing to try something new. And there's a little saying, and I don't know who I'm quoting. There was a saying I heard or read the other day, and it was in regards to the orchestra. The orchestra and the conductor will always face the orchestra and away from the crowd. And so really, I'd say get focused on what you want. Don't be scared to try new things. Don't listen to the people who say it can't be done, because amazing things are possible.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's just timing. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Paul. Our show's off the air. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, Nick, and we'll see you soon. You
Bye.
take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Psychic Training Ground, the most encouraging, supportive, uplifting place to be. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll see you soon. All is well. There is great love here for you.